What's up, everybody? The Emoji Movie came out, but screw that crap. We're not going to waste our time with... I can't even think of the word. With pop culture, like, packaged into one annoying piece of shit. We decided to actually see something good. 3 weeks after it came out. This is Dunkirk.
Yeah, we were busy last weekend. We didn't get a chance to see anything.
I wasn't even in town.
Yeah.
I was busy doing other things. But fuck it. At least we're here now.
Yeah.
And I think this movie's fucking overrated.
I really, really like this movie, but
Fanboy.
You are. But you're a butt.
Okay.
I'd say this is a movie that is meant to be watched in theaters, and that's it.
Absolutely.
I would not have the same feelings I have towards this movie if I watched it either on a regular theater screen, like we normally do.
We saw this in IMAX.
Right. Or if I watched it like later in the year on Blu-ray or on DVD. I would have probably just walked away thinking, it was all right, a pretty good war movie and everything. It's only in IMAX that it becomes a very intense experience.
Very much so. And this is actually my first IMAX viewing. I honestly can't remember the last time I even had the opportunity to watch IMAX.
I think the last time I went to go see an IMAX movie was The Hobbit's Desolation of Smaug.
Are you a big Hobbit fan?
I like the second one.
Okay, the other two,
Other two are just, the first one's not very good. The third one's all right. The second one, I like.
Anyway, okay, one question about IMAX, though. Mm-hmm. Is the idea of IMAX that it enhances your visual experience or the auditory experience?
It's supposed to be a little bit of both.
I couldn't tell the difference between, like, the visual stuff. Maybe it might be, like, a bigger screen. But then again, other theaters just have their super, mega, big, ultra powerful, big size screen, blah, 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 and they can charge an extra $5 for a single viewing of that. But I feel that I could have had the same visual experience, but the audio experience in this is, like, fantastic. I thought your ears would have actually hurt during this.
Oh, they did, but
he has sensitive ears.
Yes, I do. But unlike a shitty horror movie where it's just a lot of jump scares, trying to get a cheap scare out of you, this one, the loud noises here actually really do enhance it. It immerses you so well because, one, they don't overuse it, and two, it's war. There's gonna be explosions.
There is going to be boom boom bang bang and
gunshots. There's gonna be planes flying overhead, which sound very, wow. But
it's very accurate in this. Like, how the stereotypical plane crashing sound is. They actually do get the real life sound out of it, and
I like too the way that it flies overhead and then you hear the boom, like
speed of sound.
Yes, that's true to real life.
You might notice us using one specific word: reality,
authentic.
That's all this movie is going for. It's going for an experience. It's going for trying to grab you and put it in perspective. I want to say it's like virtual reality. It tries to be virtual reality, but you know that there's the disbelief that you're part of the audience.
I mean, it's a movie that tries to make you forget that you're watching a movie.
Here's just the basic premise: one British guy and a couple of other guys. One of them played by one of the guys from One Direction. You've got that one war thing. Duh. He didn't do bad, but yeah, just one guy and a couple of other guys run/swim from boat to boat to try and survive. Oh yeah, and there's also a sub-story of a son and a father bonding while his friend dies, and there's also another story of unity and perseverance with Tom Hardy in a plane.
So yeah, Christopher Nolan goes back to his older movies format, the non-linear storytelling format.
Memento, Batman Begins.
No, Batman Begins.
Yes, Batman Begins, because it's still taking spots where it jumps back and forth between his current training and like back. Not even necessarily flashbacks to when he was a child, but before, like, when he was a young adult.
It's not the same. When I think of non-linear storytelling, I think of, like, The Following, I think of Memento. Just because you have...
Memento was unique, though, because it stuck to something you almost never do in storytelling ever. Tell it backwards.
Right, but I mean, just because you go back to a few places doesn't necessarily make it fully non-linear. This movie is completely non-linear. It is. We are jumping from different times, different attributes. Different characters.
It also spells it out for you too. It's part one. They don't even say part. Do they say part, or it's just a number?
They say one. The mole, the beach, which is
the mole. 1 week.
1 week. It's confusing because you think 1 week from what? When Germany invaded, or when, or it turns out it's representing the time in which this takes place over. So we spend 1 week on the beach. We spend 1 day on the boat with the father and son, and then we spend 1 hour in the air with the planes, with Tom Hardy.
Mad Max flies a plane.
Right. So, okay, going back to what we were saying earlier, yeah, this movie is designed to be an immersive experience. And as long as you see this in IMAX, I think it does that very, very well. However, there is one thing. When he says that this movie's overrated, I can understand that, but only from the perspective of if you don't have any of those, like, immersive qualities to it, which really only happen if you have a really badass sound system in your home theater, or if you actually see us in theaters. Because, like I said, if this was just a very bare basic movie watching experience for me, it would just be a decent war movie. Because there are, the plot being nonlinear, it doesn't quite have as much ups and downs. Well, actually, it has a lot of ups and downs.
It doesn't have that many surprises.
But it doesn't it doesn't flow, is what I'm saying. It goes all over the place in a good way. Christopher Nolan is very good at telling nonlinear stories, but what I'm saying is it doesn't have like a progressive flow to it, where it starts off okay, and then it gets a little bit more intense and a little bit more. No, it gets like intense, and then you have a break, and then there's intense, and you have a break. It's almost just a series of really intense situations happening to a lot of different people.
It gets very shifty at points, especially considering the fact that their main action takes place on two locations. One is on the beach of Dunkirk, and the other is in the air with Tom Hardy and friends, because it shifts so much when they're on the beach, because the main intensity is from that one location, because that's where the boats that are trying to save the hundreds of thousands of British soldiers are getting torpedoed, are getting dive bombed by planes, and it seems like they try and force areas of room to breathe, and that's all just taken place by Kenneth Branagh, Mr. Exposition. He should have just been called Basil Exposition. But then again, everyone in this movie is British. It's still... The pace actually feels a little bit, like, better once they cut to, like, stuff on the boat. And this is a tiny boat that Mark Rylance... Fuck you, you shouldn't have won the Oscar over Sylvester Stallone in 2015, you asshole. Anyway... it feels a lot better when they're on the boat, because it is like a legit time to breathe, because these men are civilians amongst many others who are going out of their way to cross the English Channel to save these men. And even though, like, at points it's supposed to seem like boring, it actually does feel a little bit more human when you're able to engage with these characters, ones that actually talk and converse and try and pass knowledge to one another.
Well,
and aside from the ones that we follow who don't say much, but then again, your spiel.
Well, my thing is, okay, when I was in film class, one of the things we were taught is that reality can sometimes be a really shitty storyteller. And
You know why?
because because most of reality is boring.
It's very boring.
So when a director strives so much for authenticity, strives so much to make it real, and it sometimes can be so real that it's boring. And I feel like I don't want to say this is a boring movie, but I could see where some people would consider it to be a boring movie. You in particular.
I didn't even think it was like
We live in a post-Marvel world. I mean, people are going to get lost if there's not a penis joke on screen every second.
or just joke or quit. Just fucking quibs in general.
Right.
Everybody needs consistent entertainment. No one can have a dull second to themselves.
Right. And I mean, for me, you had this problem in Interstellar where people were like, you're like these. They don't feel like characters. They just feel like
exposition factories.
We'll see. Here's the thing. What you call exposition, I just consider, okay. What I mean is Interstellar is like these are astronauts. They're not going to be talking about shit like my favorite fruit is strawberries or anything like that. Obviously, their main focus is
the objective
and surviving and all that. And just like in this movie, they may not be talking very much, but in many cases, there's not much to fucking talk about. They just want to get out of there and live.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but since you fucking brought up Interstellar's a disappointment for me, and I even went to that movie in a certain state. But there's a complete difference with Interstellar and this. With this one, the setting and the premise is so much more simple and straight to the point. Aside from Interstellar, they've got one of the biggest objectives ever to find a new home planet and do it through space, making the characters have to give secondary elements to the movie in order to be able to pass off their characters through this not necessarily complicated, but like many multi-structured premise. This one, it's just simple. It's simple. They want to go home. I do understand why they aren't talking to each other. And actually, some of the acting is actually pretty decent, even though our lead guy, Tommy, who I didn't hear his name once, but you can obviously tell who he is because he's a recognizable face. He was fine. He keeps the same facial expression the entire time, though. Like, other guys could be like screaming or like actually showing emotion through their faces. Yeah, Tommy does that during the action scenes, but when it comes to like him being a witness, you could still do great acting and actually convey stuff with just facial expressions. That was what disappointed me about the lead character. He didn't even show that much through his face. Actually, Harry Styles actually showed more than him.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it were a different kind of movie, if it were like a more traditional movie, I would agree with you. It's like, yeah, our lead is kind of boring, but the thing is, we don't really have characters in this movie in the traditional sense. We just have people we are following, viewing their perspective on this whole event, and that's about it. So at least when I can accept that it's like, okay, so these aren't really characters. I'm not going to get to know any backstory about them. They're not going to have any quirks or anything to them. They're just soldiers. And nothing else.
That can be true, but I'm going to bring up a quick comparison. You know what other movie or series has to deal with the character not necessarily being the prime focus? It's the environment and the course of action that is happening around them. That's Mad Max for you. Tom Hardy connection. But yeah, since Mad Max isn't supposed to be like the most invested person, it's supposed to be what's happening around them. That's the same thing that's happening here. All the war, all the soldiers, the dead bodies, the surroundings, that is like the primary focus, and giving the audience the feeling that they're actually there in the shoes of this main character. But with Mad Max, he actually did show subtle and like recognizable traits. Like, yeah, it was still the simple idea of survival and just moving on to a better like place. That he still showed that he had like human traits as well, even though he didn't have to speak. He could still fight. He could still communicate and do other stuff. With this guy and with the other guys, yeah, we just see basic people doing basic stuff. Yeah, I know it's like pulling a stretch and trying to nitpick, but then that just leaves me trying to search for like more parts of the movie, trying to listen more for like the score, look around for what's gonna try and happen next.
Okay. Well, I mean, okay. So like for me, just in this movie's defense, I feel like the stoicness of the characters doesn't feel lazy to me. It feels like it's trying its damnedest to be more authentic. And I think it's fair to assume that was Nolan's goal with this entire movie, was to create an authentic, immersive experience. And in that regard, with the help of IMAX, I think he achieved it. Take away IMAX, I'd still say he did a pretty good job in keeping it authentic, but it wouldn't be as immersive to me. It probably wouldn't be
as engaging.
It probably wouldn't be as intense by itself. So that's why I'm not gonna say like, oh, this is the best. Nolan.
You're not gonna pull the fucking Nolan boy reaction.
This is the best Nolan movie since the last one he made. Well, no,
it's the best movie ever since Dark Knight Rises, ever since Dark Knight, ever since Inception, ever since Memento.
So,
granted,
I didn't say that about Interstellar, and I especially didn't say that about Dark Knight Rises.
I didn't mention Interstellar, but apparently people on IMDb rate Dark Knight Rises higher than Citizen Kane. Sad.
Well,
but and I'm not saying that Christopher Nolan isn't a bad director. Far from it. He's still he is the hero in this movie. Everything he does with the camera is actually really good in this. He doesn't try and do gimmicky stuff in order to engage the audience. He just does like simple action shots. He's not trying to do shaky cam. He actually does do a lot of good panning shots with the boats in this movie. And again, more power to not Nolan, but his partner in crime, not his brother, but score guy Hans Zimmer. Almost the entire movie, there's a second hand ticking throughout the entire thing, and it isn't necessarily like telling the audience when stuff is going to happen, but big shock, whenever something big is about to happen, the ticking goes quicker and quicker, and luckily through that, the sound, the shots, everything around, it actually does build to big climaxes. So that's what ultimately saves this movie for me, is Nolan himself, even though I try not to like jump on the Nolan bandwagon. But he is good, and he does prove his talent here. But I still can't help to be picky about like the people we have to follow. And it is simple. They're just trying to go home. They're trying to live and get out of this terror that they've witnessed. And I don't even... Did you even think the Cillian Murphy character, the first guy in the book... Oh yeah, Cillian Murphy kills a kid in this.
Well, very unintentionally.
Still, And well, that's almost the same head injury that I had back in high school. The back, like banging the back of the head, blood dripping out.
Did you go blind for a little bit?
Nope.
Okay. That's where the vision part of your brain is.
My vision's fine, but I can't smell. That's my problem.
You can't smell anymore?
Well, no, I like my sense of smell is damaged to the fact that I can't remember smells that I used to. I can only accustom and acclimate to like new smells now. So I can tell when stuff is bad or good, and I just have to relearn like specific smells.
I've known you for how long, and I've never known this about you.
I never thought to mention it. Well, now we know.
Okay.
But yeah, anything else?
Well, I will say another thing too. I like about this movie in particular to other war movies. Me and my dad have kind of noticed a lot in American cinema.
And his dad saw this with us.
Yeah, and he liked it. He thought it was pretty good. Is that American cinema is almost trying to rewrite history in a way and kind of heavily romanticize World War II.
I had to tell him what romanticized means.
I know what romanticized means, I just didn't use it.
But
so
provide the heroism, provide the morals, the speeches. That's one thing that I'm actually very glad wasn't in this. Like a gigantic speech or like cheesy, like cliched lines. There was only one in this movie, and I think it was like war is like it was something like war is ugly or something like that. War is horror. But it was
I don't remember them saying that. Do you mean that survival is unfair?
Yes, that's it. It's not fair for us to leave this person behind. Survival isn't fair. But yeah, that isn't hammered in. It's only there because it is a legitimate, dangerous situation in which all of them could die.
What he said is that it does not. It really doesn't sugarcoat the situation. It doesn't try to over-exaggerate. It doesn't under-exaggerate things. It doesn't over-exaggerate things.
It's just
it just plays itself straight. It's very pure as far as war movies go.
It's straightforward.
Yeah, and that's what I like, and that's what I like about it too. There's not a whole lot of heroism in the traditional sense of what you think, but there's also not a lot of like over exaggerated
sappy sugar-coated shit.
Yeah. So in that regard, I think which
is what fucking Pearl Harbor tried to fucking do. God.
So in that regard, if you've seen a lot of war movies, this might be a nice change of pace, at least in that regard, in that it really does play itself straight.
Although you will be disappointed if you're looking for something with like big surprises.
If you're looking for a traditional movie, you're really not going to get it here. It's very, not just from the sense that it's non-linear storytelling, which you barely get to see much of anyway, but also just the fact that, like we said, the plot itself is very, very basic. It's very much all over the place, and there's not a whole lot of characters in the traditional sense. They're just
not enough character to the characters.
Well, they're just people. It goes for more of an experience, authenticity, and intensity. And again, real. This shit is all trying to be real. Yeah. And if you manage to see this in IMAX, which is what we recommend,
which is what fucking everybody recommended, but
yep.
But take the recommendation by all means.
You probably will like this. I mean, for me, this is probably the most not really fun. That's the wrong word. But this has been one of the best experiences in theaters I've had this year.
This is definitely one of the better, like, more quality made films this year. But not definitely far from like fun or whatever. Baby Driver still has that top spot.
By the end of the year, if I say like, oh, this is one of the best movies ever made, or
ever made in the history of time and space.
If this is one of the best movies I've seen of the year, it's probably been a a slow year. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie in theaters, but I probably won't say, oh, it holds up as well just seeing it by itself on Blu-ray.
It's a good time, no alcohol required, but you don't need to buy it.
Yeah. So that's my recommendation. See it in theaters if you can, and that's about it.
Pretty much the same for me here. I was like a little bit disappointed, but nothing in the regards of saying that it's a bad movie.
Oh no.
Far from it. It just didn't leave me with that many surprises.
Yeah.
It was cool to look at. It was intense. For what the directing showed, it was engaging.
Yeah.
And it was well worth the time.
For better and for worse, Christopher Nolan, I think, really did succeed in creating an authentic war immersive experience. But that just means that just kind of limits its rewatchability for me.
Absolutely.
So
cannot agree more.
But that's about it.
Okay, since we've had a string of seeing good movies for a little while, we might want to see each of us solo might want to see something specific bad, just to try and balance out our palate.
Yep.
Hey,
haven't been the best. We've been mulling it over. I mean, you're gonna have to drag me there by my ear to take me to the Emoji Movie. But I said I'd meet you halfway. What if you went to go see the Emoji Movie,
which I'd be fine with,
by yourself, and I'll go see another probably not as bad but also bad movie, like either The Dark Tower or Kidnap.
You should see Kidnap just to try and make fun of Halle Berry the entire time. Because and even in the commercials, it's like Academy Award winner Halle Berry. Yeah, they didn't also mention Razzie Award winner Halle Berry for Catwoman, and also being in movie 43.
She was Catwoman.
You're just remembering this?
I tried to repress Catwoman.
Although you didn't see her in movie 43 though.
No, I didn't.
Oh my god! You know how I pass on movies so much, right? Movie 43 is quite possibly the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That just came out of me. But Halle Berry, she has a betting war with the pale white guy from Logan, Stephen Merchant, and it ends up being where he gets plastic surgery to look like an Asian, and she gets lip injections and a boob job, all so that they can go home in the morning and bang. It's pointless, crude, and not funny.
What?
Yeah, and that movie, it's not even a movie, it's a sketch series.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was thinking to myself, wait, how do you stretch that out into an hour and a half long movie?
Do you know how many cast members are in that movie?
No, I don't.
Somewhere around 16 to 20.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
well, you made it sound like that was the whole premise.
No. That was the premise of their sketch.
Okay, so okay. Well, that.
But
okay.
they're all
makes
terrible.
That makes more sense. So it's a series of sketches, really bad.
Okay, but the Emoji Movie. Oh God, I said that Trolls was one of the worst movies of last year, or not one of the worst, but one of the most annoying to me personally.
See, as much as I really don't want to see the Emoji Movie, it's practically par for the fucking course when it comes to bad animated kid movie fodder.
And the premise is about little fucking buttons that you push on your phone. How can you stretch that out?
Which I also don't get why they're marketing it as a kids movie, or why they even bothered making it into a kids movie.
Because they advertise it with the poop emoji.
Because most kids don't use emojis.
They don't have phones.
They don't even have fucking phones.
If they're kids, if you're a child under the age of 10, why do you need a fucking phone in the first place? Yeah, contacting your parents or some shit. You need to up your communication skills and actual trust
Yeah, the most a kid's gonna know about a smartphone is ones their parents hand to them in the supermarket so they can watch cartoons or play games.
I was
so
going to say play games.
So they just shut up.
And my worst fear is that the Emoji movie will have the same like gimmicky, like lingo,
hashtags,
hashtag AFs or fucking just I hate our generation's slang. Like we sound like complete retards whenever we talk. Sorry I said that. But I don't use that word lightly.
It's all right. I mean, hearing hashtag anywhere outside of Facebook or
Twitter
just is so irritating to me.
I only use it on Twitter, although have to come clean. Hashtags. Sorry.
Those are number signs.
They're meant to be hashtags. Although I did not buy this hat. This hat was given to me by a friend of mine. So
what the hell is it even hashtagging though?
I don't know, but it says bin trill on it. So yeah, and it's not hashtagging anything. It's just hashtag, just to hashtag. I might get some white out, but
oh, it's funny when somebody puts number 1 on something and they're like, why would you just hashtag
one?
Son of a bitch.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Although, actually, depending on what happens, you might have a worse time with kidnapping, the stupid story, and like execution, or the 75-minute. Okay, I haven't looked this movie up on like Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb, but he tells me it's 75 minutes long.
According to Brad of Cinema Snob fame and his midnight screening show, he said it was only 75 minutes.
That's shorter than the first 2 sleepaway camps, and those were from the 80s.
That's shorter than The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh my god, that is. Oh my god.
So this is basically, I'm going into Kidnap thinking this is just a rejected Lifetime Network movie that got bumped into theaters.
It's female taken. That's all it is. A woman scorned with vengeance, aside from a dad scorned with vengeance, is trying to get back the child that was taken or kidnapped from them.
I'll be honest here, though. I mean, I could probably have a lot of fun tearing into Kidnap. I wouldn't have any fun tearing into the Emoji movie because it is a fruitless, pointless endeavor. Even people who don't know anything about the movie, you just say it to them, the Emoji movie, they'd say, that's stupid.
Emojis are only meant for text boxes.
Yeah.
Not for anime. And one other, crap, I forgot his name. I think it might be TJ Miller.
Yes.
He's the lead voice in...
He's meh.
Oh, he's so talented though. He's an actually funny comedian and comedic actor. But Jesus Christ, why would you choose a project called the Emoji Movie? You idiot.
Why would Patrick Stewart must have lost a bet for playing poop.
Patrick Stewart is in Emoji Movie?
And he plays poop.
He's in the 2 worst animated movies of this year. That and Spark. The monkey movie I told you about.
Wait, that came out this year?
Yes!
I thought that was a last year movie you were only reviewing now.
No, it was it technically came out at like a festival in 2016, but it was released earlier this year.
Okay. Wow, so it looks like those two are going to be fighting you for the worst animated movie of the year.
Worst movie in general. So yeah, go see Dunkirk. We're going to fucking torture ourselves some more.
Eventually, not tonight.
Laugh at our pain.
Yep, we'll see you then.